Hey friends, Amitabha Mental Love here. Just wanted to make a quick video for you about your spiritual path. I just want to talk with you about what it means to be on a spiritual path and really make progress. Um, if you believe you're on a spiritual path, it doesn't mean that you actually are on one. The only indicator that we have and the only marker of progress on our spiritual path is actually there's just one thing. You might think, well, there's lots of measurements that I can use whether I'm doing well on my spiritual path. No, there's only one. That one thing you can use as a grade, as a measurement of your progress on the spiritual path is, am I suffering less than I was before? So the purpose of a spiritual path is and should be to remove the ability to suffer. The Buddha's teaching is the Four Noble Truths. And now I'm not saying you have to follow the Buddha's teaching. I'm just going to explain something here. The Four Noble Truths, that there is suffering, that there is a cause for suffering. That cause is the three poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. So the delusion is ignorance. It's another way of saying it is ignorance. So it's not understanding that there's greed and hatred in the mind, and that the whole process of the creation of the mind and the continuance of the mind. So they call that becoming. So there is suffering, realizing that there's suffering, that there's a cause for suffering, and there's a way to end suffering. The way to end suffering is to let go of those three poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion, or you could say wanting, not wanting, and ignorance. So, and then there's a path. The path to cessation of suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path that the Buddha laid out for us. So at least let's say we all know that the Buddha is a spiritual teacher, and the only goal of the Buddha's teaching was to end suffering. So whether you follow this path or not, even if you follow the Christian path, Christians believe that you have to be saved by Jesus, and the purpose of salvation is Jesus will take your suffering away and bring you to heaven, so you have eternal salvation from suffering, because the alternative is to boil in hell for all of eternity. So that's suffering. So it's pretty common sense, I think, that the purpose of the spiritual path is to end suffering, if you really look at it. Now, if you think the purpose of a spiritual path is to get things, to become abundant and to manifest things, I'm going to tell you right now, that is not a spiritual path. That is a materialist path. The two things do not mix. They cannot mix. The Buddha said there's the way of the world and the way to Nibbana. They don't mix together. You're either going towards the world or you're going towards Nibbana. That's all there is to it. And I know that might sound harsh. That might sound dismissive of your beliefs, but I don't mean it to be. But if you really look at it, if you're going towards sensual pleasures, you're going towards something that's not lasting and permanent. All thoughts are changeable. Everything in the phenomenal world is going to pass. Everybody in your life is going to pass away, including you. So you're going to lose everything in the end. And if you're attached to it, if you want it, there's going to be suffering. So I just want to give you this idea of how you can measure your spiritual path truly, and whatever it might be, whether it's being a Hindu, whether it's Islam, whether it's Christianity or Buddhism or Jainism or any other belief, Taoism, whatever it might be for you. Even if you don't believe in a spiritual path, even if you just want to be happy, that's a spiritual path. The desire for happiness is innate within all of us. We all shrink from pain and suffering. We all move away from it. We all want peace and happiness in our life. When someone's depressed, they say, I just want to be happy. This is common to all of humanity and to all sentient beings. If there are ants crawling on the ground and you stomp your foot, they will run for their lives because they seek pleasure and happiness as well. What I really think is they just want to be left alone. They just want peace. So in order to really gauge our progress on this spiritual life, in this spiritual path in our life, we really have to see, am I actually suffering less now than I was before? Now, the term enlightenment is nibbana in Pali, and they've translated it as enlightenment. The word nibbana means to put out fire. So it means for the fire to go out. So the fire is suffering. The fire is worldly existence. So if there is a fire, there has to be fuel for a fire. There's no other way that there can be a fire unless there's fuel. So fuel, the fuel that we're contributing to in this fire is wanting, not wanting, and ignorance. Not seeing the process of greed, hatred, and delusion, or not wanting, and ignorance. It's not understanding that process. It's continually grasping after sensual desires. It's believing our views. It's believing our thoughts. It's believing anything is personal at all. So if we believe anything is personal, then we've just put in a piece of kindling onto the fire, and we're going to have more suffering. That's a fact. If we realize that, these thoughts are not personal, they're mine, I can let them go, then we've taken a piece of kindling off that fire. And that piece of kindling, if it's burning, it'll go out. And we've cooled it. The one thing I like to consider is the breath. The breath is your only reliable guide in life. Whether you follow Buddhism or Christianity or any other path, the breath is common to humanity. We all have the same breath. It comes in and out, and it's new to you every time. Even though it's the same breath, this piece of the breath, of the collective breath, is brand new to you. You've never breathed those exact particles in that exact combination before. And so you could say that the breath is always present. The breath is always available to you, and your breath that you're experiencing right now is present in this moment, and it's brand new. It's completely refreshing. It's completely available to you, and it never resists. It never resists you. You may resist your breath. Your body may resist your breath. Maybe you have asthma, and your body might resist the breath coming in and out. But the breath always comes in, and it never comes in with emotions. It never comes in with upset. And it doesn't leave with upset or emotions either. It just gladly goes. It comes in gladly goes. And if we view our thoughts and beliefs and ideas and feelings and sensations in the same way as the breath, and we just allow them to come in and allow them to go, the breath is not really mine. I can't claim the breath. Even though I get to enjoy it my entire life, it's not mine. It just comes and goes as it will. And so thoughts are the same way. They come and go as they wish. We don't really create them, and if we don't create them, if we don't choose them, then they are not ours. And it's really hard to say that even if we do so-called create our thoughts. I mean, our mind is built upon conditioning. It's built upon previous mind moments. we have a brain that has a structure, and that is conditioning our thoughts. And so if our mind is always being influenced and our thoughts are always being influenced by other thoughts, then are they really ours? And if they're not ours, can't we just let them go? And when we let them go, don't we feel more peaceful? When you're suffering, when you're really upset, and somebody makes a funny joke or tickles you or something, and you're really upset, and then you just you giggle, you laugh. Isn't that the ending of suffering? Isn't that a taste of it? Because you let go of that other thought, and now you have another thought. And it is not a thought of desperation. So it's not to say that all thoughts are bad, but there are wholesome and unwholesome thoughts. So we want to cultivate wholesome thoughts, like loving kindness, like peace, like compassionate wishes for others and ourselves, celebration of joy of ourselves and others, equanimity. These are the 4 Brahma Viharas the Buddha taught. These don't have any negative side effects unless we start bringing the poisons into them and grasping after them. There are many unwholesome thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. Beliefs can lead to unwholesome thoughts and ideas. So anger, hatred, disdain, wanting, not wanting, upset, sadness, self-deprecating thoughts. These are all damaging to us. They cause more suffering. So the more we can let go of those and cultivate the 4 Brahma Viharas, they call them the sublime abodes. The Buddha said they're the sublime abodes. These are to be cultivated in your life. Everything else can be let go. And I think there's a certain amount of positive thinking, positive self-talk that's really good to cultivate, and also I think focusing on things that are beyond the mind, using your awareness to witness reality, to witness your mind, to witness the sensations, so that you don't get sucked into them so much. If you use mindfulness and you stay with something that's impersonal, you're less likely to get caught in thinking things are personal. So if you stay with the breath, for example, you follow the breath in and out, and you just watch it, and you don't judge it, you don't discern it as good or bad, because it's just a breath, it's impersonal. Then you're staying with an object that doesn't have any suffering in it. The body, you can stay with the body, the feelings as well. Feelings are not really personal. They're subject to conditioning. If you cut yourself, the pain from that cut, that feeling, is really impersonal because the cut has already happened. It's not really personal. The cut's not saying, "Wow, I really want to cause Amitabha a lot of pain. I'm gonna send a lot of pain receptors to make sure that Amitabha feels pain because I don't like him." No, it's sending pain receptors because it helps you know that there's an injury there, so you don't injure it anymore. It's not personal. It's actually there to help you. So pain can be helpful if you see it in the right way. So feelings are impersonal. If there's a pleasant feeling, somebody touches your hand and it's pleasant, or somebody that you love looks at you in a loving way, or you see a baby, you have pleasant sensations in your body. These are not personal, or at the very least, they're not permanent. The Buddha said that whatever is subject to origination is subject to cessation. And therefore, if we grasp after things that are subject to cessation, then we are going to be subject to cessation. And we're going to think that we're dying all the time, basically. So all beings want to live. So if you're grasping after things that are constantly dying, and you believe they're yours, and you believe they're you and I am, then you're constantly trying to kill yourself. And it's a form of self-annihilationism. So allow everything that's impermanent to pass. Allow thoughts to pass. Allow feelings to pass. Allow the breath to pass. Be with these impersonal objects. Watch the mind. Look at the qualities of the mind. Look at the thoughts and realize that most of my thoughts I didn't choose. Almost all of them I didn't choose. They just arose on their own. When you sit in meditation and you try to stay with one object, you'll notice how much the mind really wanders and you don't realize it. So you can see that, well, if I didn't choose these thoughts, then they're not really mine. I can put them down. Just like if somebody comes over to your house and brings you a hot coal and puts it in your hand, you're going to let it go right away. I don't want that. That causes suffering. That causes burning. That causes pain. So you put it down right away. And then you're like, whoa, that was painful. And I'm gonna look out my door next time somebody comes to the door. So this is what mindfulness does. The Buddha taught to guard the sense doors. So guard your sense doors. So guard feeling, guard thought, guard the mind, guard the body. Be with it. Be with the body. One of the ways the Buddha said we can be with the body is by being with the breath. Watching the breath as it comes in. Is it short or is it long? Is it deep or is it shallow? Just being with that breath is guarding the mind so that we don't let unwholesome states enter it. So if we're with something impersonal and we just watch it, then we're not allowing somebody to come, the thoughts of greed, hatred, or delusion to come in. And when we see them, we let them go because we are behind the door of mindfulness. We're behind the safety of mindfulness. We're with one of these impersonal objects, and that can protect us. So I just want to close here and suggest that you really look at your spiritual path and see, am I suffering less than I was before? And if you are, then that's great. But make sure you realize that you haven't completed traveling it until you've completely relinquished the ability to suffer. That's the end game here. The end game is complete enlightenment, complete freedom, the fire being completely put out. So there's not only is there no kindling, but there's nobody to put any kindling on it anymore. It's the complete extinguishment of this ability to suffer. And whatever the destination is afterwards, don't worry about that. Those are all beliefs. You can't really know until you get there. But the fact is you can know if you're suffering or not. And therefore you can really gauge whether you're on a spiritual path, whether you're traveling it or whether you're actually just looking at it. And just give yourself this gift of being with something that's impersonal. Choose an impersonal object. Watch the mind and see the qualities of the mind and watch the thoughts come and go and realize that they're impersonal. Watch the breath. Watch the breath coming in and out as it does, without force, without trying to change it. Watch the feelings. Watch the pleasant and unpleasant feelings. Allow them to be there and don't push them away or grasp after the pleasant ones. Just be with them. And that will keep you safe. So I just wanted to share these ideas with you. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. And I really wish for success for you on your spiritual path. Whatever that might be, I really wish for the end of suffering for you and for all beings. Thank you so much. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you be at peace. And may you attain the end of suffering in this lifetime. Thank you so much.